The billionaire's son was about to buy the most desired girl in the room until she lifted her hand. Everything stopped. His face turned completely white. His breathing became uneven. Then, in front of dozens of the world's richest and most powerful men, he whispered just 4 words. "She can't be here." Nobody understood. Only seconds earlier, those same men had been competing to own her, throwing around millions of dollars as if they were pocket change. The auctioneer smiled as another bid echoed across the luxurious ballroom. $8 million! A second paddle rose. $9 million! The room erupted in applause. Then, $10 million! Silence. Every eye turned toward the young billionaire sitting in the last row. He never looked at the girl's face. He wasn't staring at her beauty. His eyes were locked on one small scar around her left wrist. A scar that shouldn't exist. Because the last person who carried that exact mark was believed to have died 16 years ago. Without another word, he stood. The auctioneer declared the sale complete. But instead of claiming his purchase, the billionaire leaned toward his bodyguard. "Get her out of this city," he whispered. "Immediately." Nobody realized what was happening. They thought he was hiding his expensive prize. The truth was that he was trying to save her. Because the moment another man recognized that scar, she would be dead.
Before we begin, type 555 in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Welcome to World Story Studio, where every story brings love, hope, and unforgettable moments to life. Now, let's begin.
2 weeks earlier, Rachel Green's life was beautifully ordinary. She wasn't rich, she didn't come from an influential family, but every morning before sunrise, she trained inside the university fencing hall with one dream: to represent her country on the national team. Her coach believed she had the talent. Rachel believed hard work would be enough. She was wrong. Outside the locker room one afternoon, she accidentally bumped into Kevin Rochester. Coffee splashed across the sleeve of his designer jacket. Kevin slowly looked down, then smiled. It wasn't the smile of someone amused. It was the smile of someone who had just found a new victim. "You know how much this costs?" he asked. Rachel apologized and reached for a towel. Before she could move, Kevin grabbed her wrist. His fingers tightened painfully. "If you can't pay for it," he said, "maybe you'll find another way to settle the debt." Students nearby laughed nervously. Nobody dared step forward. Everyone knew who Kevin was, the spoiled heir to the Rochester Empire. His father owned corporations, politicians, and, according to campus rumors, even the university itself. Rachel struggled to pull free. "Please let go." Kevin leaned closer. "Make me." A calm voice interrupted. "She asked you to let go." The hallway fell silent. Standing a few feet away was a young man wearing plain training clothes. Nothing about him suggested wealth. No expensive watch, no designer shoes, just calm, steady eyes. Kevin laughed. "And who are you supposed to be?" The stranger didn't answer. He simply walked forward and placed himself between Kevin and Rachel. Kevin shoved him. The young man barely moved. A heartbeat later, one punch. Kevin crashed onto the floor. Gasps echoed through the hallway. No one had ever touched the Rochester family's golden son. Kevin wiped blood from his lip, his eyes burning with hatred. "You've just signed your own death warrant." Before anyone could react, boom! A deafening explosion ripped through the nearby locker room. Smoke flooded the corridor. Students screamed and scattered in panic as fire alarms blared throughout the campus. In the chaos, Rachel lost sight of the mysterious stranger. She had no idea that he had just risked everything to protect her, or that in less than 2 weeks, he would spend $10 million to save her once again. The explosion became tomorrow's headline, but the truth never did.
Faulty electrical wiring caused the explosion.
Security footage had mysteriously disappeared. Witnesses suddenly changed their stories. And somehow, Rachel Green became the one blamed for starting the disaster. Her scholarship was revoked. She was expelled without a hearing. Every university that considered accepting her received a warning to stay away. Within days, her savings were gone. Employers rejected her before she could finish introducing herself. Someone was making sure every door remained closed. That someone was Kevin Rochester. Hungry, exhausted, and out of hope, Rachel eventually walked into Elysium Private Lounge, the place where desperate people sold more than their time. She told herself it would only be one night. Instead, she found herself standing beneath bright lights while powerful men bid for her future. Then came the $10 million bid. Moments after the auction ended, armed bodyguards quietly escorted her into a private suite. Rachel expected fear. Instead, the young billionaire removed his suit jacket and draped it over her shoulders. "You don't have to be afraid," he said softly. She looked at him with confusion. "Why would you spend that much money and ask for nothing?" For the first time, he met her eyes. "My name is Liam Rochester." Rachel's heart stopped. "Rochester?" The younger son. She instinctively stepped backward.
The same family that destroyed my life?
Liam lowered his head. "Yes." He rolled up his sleeve and revealed the faded scar on his wrist. Rachel stared in disbelief. It was identical to hers. "When I defended you at the university, I noticed your scar," Liam said. "Only children from one charitable hospital received that mark after a life-saving surgery years ago." "My mother told me I was treated there as a baby," Rachel whispered. "So was my little sister." His voice cracked. "She disappeared during a company evacuation 16 years ago. Everyone believed she died." Rachel looked at her own scar, then at Liam. "But I'm not your sister." "I know," Liam replied with a faint smile. The hospital kept one final patient record. He handed her a worn envelope. Inside was her birth certificate and a letter from her late mother. The truth unfolded through tear-stained pages. Rachel's parents had rescued her during the evacuation after finding her abandoned and alone. They searched for her biological family, but the hospital closed before records could be recovered. They chose to raise her as their own, loving her without ever hiding the truth in the letter they planned to give her one day.
They saved your life out of love, Rachel. They loved you.
Before Rachel could speak, the doors burst open. Richard Rochester and Kevin stormed inside with private security. Richard's eyes fell on the letter. Without hesitation, he reached for it. Liam stepped between them. "No more lies." He revealed copies of confidential financial records proving Richard had orchestrated the fire that destroyed Rachel's parents' company years earlier, forcing them into bankruptcy before silencing every investigation with bribes. The evidence had already been delivered to investigators. Minutes later, police officers entered the room. For the first time in decades, Richard Rochester had nowhere left to hide. As he and Kevin were led away in handcuffs, Rachel didn't feel victorious. She felt free. Months later, her family's reputation was restored. Her parents' names were cleared. She returned to university, earned her degree, and later opened a foundation that provided scholarships for talented students whose dreams had been threatened by poverty or injustice. On opening day, Liam quietly placed a framed photograph of Rachel's adoptive parents at the entrance. Beneath it was a simple inscription: "Family is not always the people who give you life. Sometimes it's the people who give your life a future." Rachel smiled through tears. She realized that justice had given her back her past, but love had given her something even greater: a future worth living. And perhaps that's the greatest victory of all.
If you had been in Rachel's place, would you have chosen revenge against the Rochester family, or forgiveness after the truth came to light? If stories like this remind you that courage, compassion, and truth still matter, we'd love for you to become part of World Story Studio. For every story we share is chosen to leave you with more than entertainment. It leaves you with something to carry into your own life. Subscribe and join a community that believes the smallest act of kindness can change someone's story forever.